Hey, welcome back to Camp Coop, where we help families prioritize family. Today, I wanted to talk about how to make friends as guys. When I reached out to a bunch of dudes about like, what's some of the stuff you're going through, what are like common problems, this came up pretty frequently of, I don't have a community. How do I make guy friends? It's weird. And I feel like I have somewhat of a formula to approach making guy friends. Like if I think right now, in the past 6 weeks, I've probably made friends with like 7 or 8 different dudes and couples that I could say, oh yeah, we could hit them up and either hang out on the weekend or invite them over or do kind of a play date thing. And so I do kind of have somewhat of a formula that I follow to make these relationships, but I wanted to walk you guys through doing that. It is an extremely awkward thing, like making friends as adults and the like first date hangout. I mean, you feel like you're dating again. Like, am I going to get a call back? You're kind of like holding those like hot topic issues close to the vest. You're like, so yeah, vaccinations this round. Am I right? Waiting for them to be like, oh no, we don't do that. And you go, oh yeah, me too. Or I guess not me too. Right. And so it's kind of a weird world, especially when you're this dude in your late 20s, early 30s, looking for friends that are in a similar season of life as you, that have similar values. I have worked with a bunch of guys that I would make great friendships with, but they were maybe a couple seasons behind me, like, you know, just got married or no kids yet. And you can still hang out with them, right? You can still have fun, but you know, they maybe have the luxury that, hey, we're going to go play golf on Saturday for 5 hours, you in, right? And nothing tells my stay-at-home wife, hey, I love you, like the first day I have off, I'm going to leave for 5, 6 hours and let you be at home with the kids. So being able to find the guys in your season that you can really hang out together as a family, I think that is the game changer. It's not only do you have alignment with this particular dude and you guys could see yourself spending time together, but could your families hang out together? Because that becomes, relationships for your spouse. It becomes relationships for your kids. And then when you're hanging out with people that have your same values, like that takes out a huge stress. I know there's people that me and my wife know from just being around, I guess like being alive, people we've met who our kids don't vibe with their kids. And so, if it was a desert island, it was just a bunch of adults, like, yeah, we'd kick it, but that's not the mode anymore, right? Like I can't just be like, oh yeah, I'm not going to hang with my kids, right? Because that's a huge priority. And the same thing is true, like kids could be a good fit and you could not have anything in common with that parent. That's what we found through like doing baseball this season is my kids are making friends with their teammates and the parents. It's like, oh, we're so different on paper. But then you peel back some of the layers, you go, oh, we do have a little bit more in common, especially because our kids are into the same stuff and they want to have a relationship with each other as well. So I want to walk you through a little bit of my formula of how to basically target, identify, spot a potential friend, how to approach, some of the questions I ask, as well as how to set up that first meeting. So if you're a note taker, maybe this is time to take some notes, I guess. I feel like this will be the video that wives and their husbands are, hey, you need to do this. You need to, I watched that video on Camp Coop and, he's teaching you how to make friends. Stick around for the end of this video for the biggest takeaway that you won't see coming is the next step, right? Or like the call to action. I spent the last 4 years as a sales dude. So I'm thinking through like prospecting, initial meeting, the discovery call, and then what's the call to action or the next step. The call to action for girls is usually like, hey, I would love to spend time together and let's get across and like, let's just have coffee and let's just like talk or like, let's just like stare into each other's eyes and just like be in each other's presence. Like that would be so good. I'm like, oh my God, yeah, that would. Guys, it's not that way. Guys, the call to action is going to be, hey, would you like to do said thing with me? Right? Guys connect shoulder to shoulder. Women are usually more face to face. And so for guys, that call to action becomes, hey bro, would you help me with this? Would you want to go do this thing? Hey, could we do this thing side by side together and or the families combined? So that's going to be the big takeaway is that call to action will be different. But here's usually how it goes for me. So number one, I think about who are the types of people I want to hang out with. I want to connect with people, essentially like families that are not woke, They are believers. The moms and dads take care of themselves. They care about health. Their kids aren't annoying as crap. They're into a lot of the stuff that I'm into. So I always think, okay, where would those people hang out? It's probably places that I want to hang out, but let me go to where they hang out. So when we lived in Colorado Springs, we would hit up Shields all the time. If you've never been to Shields, it's like the greatest store ever. But Shields is this just insane outdoor store with tons of just everything you could imagine. And so you would see a ton of families there, right? Because there's a ton of stuff to do. And that would be a great place to potentially prospect for me, because it's like, hey, if they're hanging out at this store, they're probably into a lot of the same stuff that I'm into. So like a couple examples for here in the Nashville area is like, hey, coffee shops on Saturdays, or playgrounds at the park, or again, I guess kind of like downtown areas, right? Usually there's families that want to get out and about on Saturdays and they're hitting up a coffee shop. You start to know those coffee shops where it's like the hangout. There's one in Franklin called Hank's, which I really love. It's in my like top 3 of all coffee shops that are in Tennessee. But it is like millennial, or it's like the trendy families of Franklin. Like that's where they come to hang on Saturday mornings. And so there's a good chance, like, yeah, you might meet somebody that's in a similar season of life as you. Now, do you have the same values? Who the heck knows? But you got to go where, you need to fish from the pond where, you're going to catch what you're looking for. If you're looking for friends in their 30s, going to that have kids, like, going to the clubs and going to the bars probably aren't the same people that you'd want to become friends with, like if they're out there. And I guess if you're out there too, who knows? But you got to go to where you think these people are going to live. Okay. The second thing that I found is really just like picking something to compliment these people on or to talk about. So recently I made friends with a buddy and I noticed that I had the same pair of socks as him. Okay. Very small, very weird. This is like MLM strategies right here. But I literally went up to him and was like, bro, I had to tell you, I've got the exact same socks. These socks in particular were like cool dad socks is what they said, or rad dad or something. And so I'm like, I've got the same socks. And, he kind of laughs. And then he goes, well, bro, I actually have the same shoes you're wearing. They're these ones right here. Right. So now we can kind of laugh like, oh, that's so funny. We've got the same shoes, same style. And then my go-to question to open the conversation is, hey, are you guys local? Are you guys local? And it usually opens up the conversation to go, yeah, we live right here in, Franklin, or we live right here in Murfreesboro. Oh, that's cool. Are you from here? Is a good follow-up. And then they go, yes, no, maybe so. And then it opens up to, if they say, no, we moved here from, the East Coast or the West Coast, you go, okay, well, what brought you here? And now you've gotten to start a conversation. And by asking other people questions, how do I put it? Dale Carnegie talks about a person's favorite sound is the sound of their own name, right? People love themselves as much as, they would probably say, oh, no, I don't. They love talking about themselves. So if you can start to ask people questions about themselves and really open the door with, hey, are you guys local? It begins to open the door to, actually have conversations. And that's usually my go-to is like, hey, are you guys local? They tell me if they're local or not. And then we start to have a conversation. Then, if their family's with them, like, hey, how many kids do you guys have? What are their ages? And you literally just hold all your information. You're gathering information. You're learning about them. You're like, oh, that's cool. We moved here from X state because we wanted to do this. Oh, that's awesome, man. Like, what's your family dynamic like? Oh, I got a wife and a kid and I've got one on the way. Or, oh, man, that's awesome. That's really exciting. How old are your kids? Blah, 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 blah. And you go, oh, man, that's really cool. Like, okay. And then they'll usually go like, do you have kids? Yeah, man, I've got 4, blah, blah, blah. We moved here too a couple of years ago. Man, that's great. And then a next question that I found that's helpful is like, do you guys go to church around here, or do you go to church at all? Usually by the places you're hanging out, they also kind of have a look. Like if I'm going to be honest, I see this other like millennial dude, you see kind of like the Christian like hallmarks, and you can kind of like take a pretty good guess. Again, if they're wearing a brand that is Christian, or a band or an artist, or they got their Brandon Lake swag on, like you kind of know. But to go like, hey, do you guys go to church around here? Is another great way for them to go, oh yes, we go here, or no, we're looking for a church. Yeah, and it just opens up that conversation, and it helps okay, these people go to church, right? That's up my alley. Okay, so now you've established like, where are they from? Are they in the area? What brought them? Do you have kids? Now we're talking family-wise. Maybe you throw in some type of like interest question, like, hey, what do you guys like to do for fun? Or what do you do for work? Oh, that's really interesting. Like that comment to me feels lame. Like, what do you do? like you're setting up to flex. But again, if they own a business, like my buddy I met a couple weeks ago owns a business. So then we got started about talking about business, which was really cool. And I got to ask him about his business and what he's doing, where he's growing, what's his story. And I got to share what we're doing as well. But some type of interest based question, again, if it's like, hey, I met somebody at the gym or they're doing CrossFit, or I noticed some clothing they're wearing or the coffee they're drinking or the place they're hanging out or the sticker on their laptop, like, or, Texas Rangers, like, oh, do you like baseball, blah, blah, blah. It's really good. Okay, now here's the call to action. I usually say, bro, hey, I'd love to get your number and get connected or stay connected. Is that cool? 9 times out of 10, 11 times out of 10, people go, oh yeah, of course, for sure. Here's what I do. I say, let me get your number, ABCDEFG 9972. Text them my first name and number, and then I say, dude from coffee shop, dude from Hanks, right? And then it's usually like, hey, let's get the families together. What's y'all schedule like? My call to action for these families is like, let's meet the families up at a park. We go to one in Franklin. Typically, it's called Pinkerton. If you know, you know. It's just a super sick park. It's a great place to go because their kids can like play independently. Your kids can almost play independently and parents can talk. Kids can play together. At this particular park, there's a walking trail with like a storybook. So turns out now everybody kind of goes on a walk and you're getting some motion into the conversation as you're now kind of like feeling each other, feeling each other out. That sounds wrong, but feeling out the relationship. So that's usually my call to action is like, because that's also what I care about. Like, I don't go play pickleball. I don't play golf. I don't play basketball. So I'm not necessarily inviting a single dude like, hey, do you want to go do this single thing with me? And then maybe we'll meet your family. I just go straight forward like, hey, let's hang out as a family. And so I usually say, hey, what do you guys think about meeting up at a park? And the park, again, gives you an escape route where if things are going bad, you can say, hey, Johnny needs to take his nap and you can dip out. Going for like coffee is great for adults, but kids start to get reckless. Going for like lunch somewhere, same thing. Now, if it is awkward, you're waiting for this food to come and abort and your kids are kind of trapped. And you really don't get the chance to have a conversation. So the park is like the go-to call to action for us. Then depending on how the park hang is going, if it is around lunchtime, like, hey, do you guys want to go grab lunch? Blah, blah, blah. If it's nap time, which is, what happened this past time, it's like, yeah, we'll see you later. And that's boom. That's perfect, right? Good hang. Man, it was fun to get to meet you guys. Fun to hang out. Our kids, usually if your kids are well behaved, they had a good time. And the other kids like, oh, it was fun to meet our new friends, right? And it is fun, right? And so you had you just had a successful hang with some new friends and you got to meet together and wives got to start to feel each other out, right? Figure it out. Now, me and this dude that I'm talking about, we had met at a coffee shop. We were both working on our business. I kind of took that piece to say, hey, bro, what do you think about us maybe meeting up at a coffee shop and kind of like working together next to each other, right? That's the key for dudes where it's not just, hey, let's go face to face. Let's just go to the coffee shop and talk, but let's go work on our business. And we did. We met up at Bradley Mountain in Columbia, another top 3 shop in my opinion. And he and I just worked on our own prospective businesses, took little breaks and chatted with each other, met some other dude, networked. Like, this was a cool hang where, yeah, we hung for maybe 2 hours while still getting our own work done. And then it turns out like he is launching a handyman business and I need some painting done for our new kind of office studio, which I really do like this setup too. Like, I like the window in the background. I like little kid toys. So I wish I could steal this room, and now that's another hang. Okay. So now he's going to come and work. And I said, bro, if your wife and daughter want to come and hang as well, like, we've got space and toys and all this. And so now that parlayed into another kind of family hang of them coming here to our house where, hey, I feel a little more comfortable with these people that I'll invite them over to my house and let them in. And so the call to actions are, hey, let's get the families together. Let's do something. And maybe you switch those, right? Maybe if you don't really know, it's like, hey, bro, well, I'm going to be up at the coffee shop again on this date. Would you want to hang and maybe kind of work together? Sure. That goes good. Like, okay, hey, maybe now let's get the family together. You hit up the park. Third, hey, would you guys want to come over for dinner? Let the kids play. I'm all about like space to like let kids play and not doing stuff that like you're going to a nice restaurant like a Chili's with 8 kids. This isn't especially if they're younger. It's just you don't even get the chance to meet the people you want to hang out with because, your kids need stuff and that's not their fault and that's not their problem. And they didn't ask for mom and dad to like experiment meeting new friends, but it's just a reality. So anytime like you can go to like places and spaces where kids can play almost independently, I think that is a really good thing. Like a park or our house. We live out in the country, so we end up having a big yard. So we do have a lot of stuff kids can do like outside. It's not just hanging in the playroom in a tight confined space. We used to live in a townhome and that made it extremely difficult. It's basically miserable if we invite anyone over because our whole family congregated to like the heart of the home, which was like the entire floor was the size of this room that I'm in. And so it just felt overwhelming. So that call to action is imperative. But once you start to do that, you give like the wives the ability to build that connection. And now they're texting more often, right? Dudes are like sending memes, or dudes can not talk for 2 years, but then have a 2-hour conversation with someone. Girls will talk to 5 different gals for 2 minutes every single day. And that's how they keep relationships alive. So I think then when you let wives build a connection and they're texting and they're like, oh my gosh, I texted Tabitha today and she told me that blah, 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 blah. Now they start to make the plans of like, hey, when are we hanging out next? Just tell me when I need to be there. And the guys are like, I have no clue when I'm going to see you again, but I know we will. Right. And so, but in my experience, the like initial conversations usually start with me. I'm a little bit more of an extrovert than my wife is, but then the sustained relationships follow with her. So this is not an exhaustive list, but I would say go to places that the type of people you want to hang out with hang. Number 2, find some sort of common connection to break the ice for the conversation. Number 3, get them talking about themselves. Number 4, ask for the contact. And then number 5, call to action is, hey, let's do something where our families get together, where kids have space, where we have the ability to start to figure out, hey, do our values align, and is this a relationship I'd want to pursue? So hopefully this was valuable for all the guys out there. If you try this out, tag me. If you make new friends through the Camp Coop method, I'd love to find out. We also just appreciate anybody tuning into this channel. This is a new style of video than the last one we did, but hopefully it is helpful for you guys. So thanks for watching this video. This is Camp Coop. It's where families prioritize family. If you enjoyed it, would you drop a like, sub, or best of yet, could you share this content with someone you think could maybe benefit from making some friends? So hope you have a good day. Peace.